A big hello once again to everyone watching. Welcome back to OMSI 2 and welcome to Yorkshire. Uncharted territory for Metrobus over here. Oh, and the PR1 ahead of me has already left. Okay, awkward timing. But yes, we're over here in Yorkshire Counties 3. With something entirely fictional, because Metrobus have never ventured this far north in England. I think the furthest north you probably have ever seen them would probably be some rail replacement work for Thameslink, maybe Great Northern. I mean, even that seems like a great big push. Maybe some like ex-Metrobus vehicles up in other go-ahead divisions. That's as far north as you'll ever see them. But here, we're pretending as if Metrobus have won the park and ride routes, PR1, with some ex-Brighton Hove B9TLs. So, I mean, I was just gonna... I was gonna open up the doors here and let people on. You know, I'm gonna do that anyway.
Good day, driver.
Ticketer is on, set up.
Good day, driver. Hello.
A day rider, please.
Oh, but you give me exact change, so I don't have to faff about with maths, calculating how much to give you.
Driver.
Oh, why did you have to give me three £5 notes? Do you not have a tenner? There you go, there's your 50p change. Here is your...
A ticket would help.
Weekly ticket.
Thank you, driver.
I get it, love. Jeez, it's so picky up here in the north. And we're not due to leave out in another 14 minutes. I feel like I'm gonna skip time ahead a bit till we're due to leave, or roughly then. I mean, Metrobus have never really had a thing with timetables and actually sticking to them.
Driver.
30 pence change for you, good sir. We wanted a single.
Thanks very much. What?
Now then, lad, how's it going?
Everyone else just using the tap and go.
Hey, handsome.
Hello, Matt.
But yes. How is everyone doing in chat? Oh, hang on a minute. Got a needy child I have to give a ticket to. There you go.
Hiya, driver.
Hello, crazy. Alright. Guess we're all loaded up. Get the bus into gear. Come up from kneeling. I'm glad to hear that, crazy. Oh, come on. It's gonna be one of those days where all the lights are gonna be against me. And also in typical right bus fashion, this thing is rattling to hell. There we go. Shut the rattling up. I'm glad to hear.
The next stop is Hillsick Corner.
That sure reminds me, I haven't actually put it in the title if I'm driving. I'm gonna quickly do that. Change the title of the stream whilst I'm at these lights. Because I didn't put that it's... There we go. Apologies. Let's probably have changed whilst I was doing that. I mean, sure, this isn't a G2 body. It is a bit mix and match what I have going on here. considering this is a G3 with B9TL sounds. But this is the best that we can get in OMSI because the G2 bodywork is absolutely horrendous, and it's a rip from MM2, I think. It's the lowest quality thing you'll ever lay your eyes on. Actually, no, that's not true. There are also the dark converts, which are just somehow worse. At least the B9TL in OMSI actually has a working dash. Same can't be said for those darts. And since this is an ex-Brighton and Hove B9, it of course has the power to tackle any incline you give to it. I mean, it's not going to be as mapped up and as drugged out as the Regency ones are, which can do stuff like that. But you know what? These do come a close second. So, oh, good day. From South Australia. Fancy seeing you here. What time even is it for you down there in Australia? Must be late in the evening. I am also 3 minutes late. Oh, grand start to the route. No? Okay. No one wants on, no one wants off. So I keep driving.
The next stop
Hey, lad,
is
this is your
Serious
second driver.
Damn, that's a bad driver.
It's 3 AM there. Oh damn, does anyone want off? No one wants off. We keep going. Oh, I'm glad to have you in the stream.
The next stop is Wavesworth.
How are things down there? You Aussies with your weird buses. Where in Yorkshire is this? Tram tracks? Oh, actually that's it. Well, I mean, this is supposed to be like a fictional Yorkshire settings. Actually, that is a good question. I don't really know. I think this is supposed to be like near the Peak District around Sheffield area, which isn't really Yorkshire, but you know, we'll let the dev off. It's very much meant to be fictional. None of these places actually exist. Well, I mean, some of the place names might actually exist, but I'm pretty certain they don't look like this. Yeah. I mean, also the funniest thing is the trams that you actually get on this map aren't even they're trams from the Croydon tram link, so you know it's very much like a mix and match. So I'm driving to the perfect bus for this map then. Hello, Alex.
Now then, lad. How's it going?
Hello.
What?
Hello, hello. Get on quickly, please. I've made myself horrendously late. I have to claw back some of the minutes I've lost. Actually, by horrendously late, I mean 2 minutes late.
Wadesworth College.
This week has gone by way too quick. Needs to slow down. You know what? I do actually agree with you. This week has gone by really quickly. It's also crazy to think that we're already coming into the 3rd month of 2023. Sometimes I just hate it when my brain does that. I'm like, God damn, time is going by quickly. I have to remind my brain, just stop it, please. There you go. Did I not give you... Can I not do maths? Oh, wait, hold on. There you go.
Lovely. Cheers.
I knew it was 280, but I actually gave him 270. Turns out I can't actually count. Later on, I'm doing the PR1 service in double-decker old-style green, yellow, and white. Oh, you mean the old-style Yorkshire livery? Sounds like fun, although to be entirely honest, I don't particularly like that livery. I mean, whilst it's nice and retro, it doesn't really make sense on the like street decks and the G3s. It's like a really modern, angular look on like a really, well, with a really retro livery. At the rate of how quick it's gone, it'll be 2024 in no time. That is very true. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that livery does remind me of the old Stagecoach Stripes livery, which I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that is what it's based upon, especially the interior, because I'm pretty certain it's nearly like a one-for-one recreation. But that's also why I don't particularly like it, because I find both those liveries so dark inside. And it's something I really don't like about liveries, is when the interior is just like dark, dingy, and like even during the day it's just dark and it just feels miserable, to be honest. Oh, there's a learner there. I think his bus is broken down. Oh no, he's just stuck behind a 25. That's fine, because we're going to go around these lot.
The next stop is Wadesworth Roundabout.
Whip it around here. We're going into the 9 and U46 stands.
The next stop is Wadesworth Interchange.
At least March is going to be a good month right from the start. That's true, actually, to be fair. I mean, I'm not sure what makes it good from the start, but I do agree that it will be a good month at least. There's your single, there's your 280 change.
Thank you
Oh. At least she's friendly. I learned the word metro from Metrobus when I was 6. That's nice to know. Crossing? You are, just incredibly slowly. I love the livery myself, but that's okay, we're all different. No, that obviously that is fair, and I understand why people would like it. It's just, it's a personal thing, to be honest, for me. I just, nope, we're turning to the left, not to the right. I just really don't like the dark interior of it. I mean, I like it because it's retro and it does remind me of the old Stagecoach livery, but also like it has its downsides. That's, you know, as I said, I feel like I'm just going in circles here, to be honest. But yeah, because your favourite series, Jetlag the Game Season 5, will start on March 1st. Oh, that's a really good reason as to why March will be amazing from the start. So hello, Tico. See, I'm just looking forward to March because we'll finally be like the beginning of spring, and you know the days will start getting brighter for longer. We'll go into British summertime instead of it just getting dark at like 6 p.m. in the UK.
What? Hello, mate. Single, please, mate.
Been driving a Stagecoach
Lovely.
B10DLE X first on the PR1 most of the day. It being X first. Manchester 6390 CVR, which has become that under Stagecoach. Yeah, that's nice. I find it interesting, all like the weird fleet things that Stagecoach have inherited over time from like buying out other operators, stuff that they themselves wouldn't ever buy, such as like, you know, like presidents, G1s, G2s. Oh god.
Anybody interested in some overtime today? We have plenty.
No, how do I mute you?
Whatever tickets you fancy, whether you want to run or around her, that's completely up to you. If you are interested in doing overtime on top of your duty today, please can you call the garage when you next get to your stand, or go and see the front counter when you arrive back to the garage. So just to confirm, there is overtime available on Leisure tonight. So if
The next stop is
Oh good, the announcements shut him up.
Jesus, that was close.
You can.
But yeah, as I was saying, it's just really interesting because, you know, they have tons of like Volvo stuff which they wouldn't have bought themselves, but they got from like buying first operations, other operations, smaller independents, and quite a lot of them they would end up repainting into their livery, or they wouldn't bother at all and they just slap their logo on like a first Barbie livery and just keep the first interior and then replace the maquette with like Stagecoach maquette. Which I feel like is what they're going to do in London with the Tower Transit and HCT operations. Which will be interesting to look to see. Summertime is dumb. You know what? Yeah, kind of. I mean, I understand why we do that. You know, so that it's not just getting dark at like 11 p.m. at night and like the sun rises at some stupid time in the morning. You know, instead of it rising at like 3 in the morning, because at, you know, at the peak of summertime, like the longest day in the week, the sun doesn't set until like I think last year it was like 9:30, and it didn't rise. I think probably 4. I'd want to say around like 4:30. So yeah, no, I understand why like they do it, but yeah, it sort of is dumb. It's just a bit annoying having to like change your manual clocks. Although to be fair, who actually has manual clocks anymore? It's all digital, or not analog, but yeah, digital, and they do it automatically. I hope the EU will get rid of summertime in 2025 or so. Does he think he is just talking without permission? Yeah, exactly. That was also so unwarranted. I was just going on a rant about Stagecoach and buying like first operations. You know, maybe the EU will get rid of that, but I don't know. I actually don't really know why it was introduced in the first place. Like, what problem was it solving? And now it's just a case of like, we've had it so long, is there really much point in changing it? I mean, then again, here in the UK we have bigger problems than British summertime, to be honest. 60, 30, 90... Ugh. Seriously? You couldn't get off any quicker? You're lucky the light was red, otherwise I would have brought you to the next stop. Um, 60, 30, 90 was a 10... BLE, based at First Manchester Wiggins Depot until late 2012 when it became 21174 under First. So people get more sunlight in summer. Is that really the reason why we introduced summer times? I shouldn't narrow it down to specifically British summertime because obviously, you know, other countries do it as well. Although you do have weird cases where countries don't observe like summertime, but like their neighbours do. So what ends up happening is like their neighbours end up having the exact same actual time. Oh, I was going to say I was about to witness a massive collision, but nope. That bus just Harry Pottered out of existence.
The next stop is Ingleborough Crossing.
Also, your grandma has a manual clock. Okay, I mean, to be fair, the elderly, I think, are one exception to that. I mean, of course they have a manual clock, because, you know, they struggle at the best of times to figure out what a calculator does. But never mind a digital clock. There you go, there's your return. My favourite bus normally are the Volvos. Ah, man of culture, I see. I mean, it's all personal opinion. Also, this person's just taken a decade to get off. Hello? Oh. It's just the kids ringing the bell just to piss me off. No one even got off. I myself am more a Scania man than Volvo, to be honest. But like, since being down in Brighton and actually experiencing properly remapped B9s and like other Volvos, I quite like them, to be honest.
10 years old, blonde, seen wearing blue shorts and a red t-shirt.
Oh, perfect! I think he's right here. The wanted criminal, the one who kept ringing my bell. So just to confirm, a 10-year-old child is missing on Ingram. First bus kept scrapping buses after withdrawing them from service. I mean, to be fair, I don't feel like most first bus vehicles have like much of a life after service with them, because First love to just run them into the ground. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of their presidents after they withdrew them. I mean, I was friends with someone who actually was going to preserve one, bought one. And like that thing was just absolutely shot to pieces, ran into the ground. I mean, I suppose you could expect it after 20 years of service, but like First Bus, just you can't really expect much from them, to be honest. Also, when First took over First Manchester and Wigan, the sale included ex-London Optare XLs, ex-Timeline ones, and ex-Leicester ones, Dennis Darts, B10s, B7 RLEs, B9TLs, ex-London Dennis Arrows.
See front arcades.
That's pretty interesting, to be honest. I imagine they probably withdrew most of them from their fleets. Because just, you know, non-standard stuff. Oh, the lights really are against me today. Not just the neighbours, in the US also, Arizona, they don't use summertime, besides from one county that does. That one county surrounded by one that does. That just... Oh yeah, that is actually very true. I have heard about that, where there's just like certain towns who do use summertime within like a state in America, and it's just... It doesn't make sense. Because literally driving through there, you have to put your clock back 1 hour, because everyone will be like, what are you talking about? It being 11. No, it's actually 10 right now. Actually, no, the other way around. Because summertime pushes clocks backwards by 1 hour, or is it 4? You know what? It's just summertime confuses me. What is he even talking about? Honestly, the first one he was talking about if any drivers wanted to do overtime. The second one was a missing child's report, apparently. Unless you're talking about me, in which case, honestly, I don't know. It's just mostly rambling. I do like that Scania K250 UD.
The next stop is West Parade.
I mean, honestly, yeah, I really do like the Scania 250s. I specifically say 250 because I have experienced the K250 UD, but I mostly have experienced like the 270s and 230s, which are quite nice and meaty. But nothing can beat a good N94 for me. Which trident were you planning to preserve but got turned into a baked bean can? Well, actually, it was... I can't actually remember First Bus's fleet codes for the tridents, for their presidents. It was 64 was the last 2 digits of it. I can't... It was some First Essex one. And it wasn't me that was intended to preserve it, it was a friend of mine. He did actually buy it in the end, but like, you know, things happened, complications happened, and then let's just say it's ended up into a baked bean can now. But I mean, to be fair, that vehicle literally had not a lot of life left in it because it was absolutely ran into the ground by First. It wasn't what actually killed it off in the end. What killed it off in the end was actually having the engine be nicked. So, yeah, but probably less said about that the better. Don't want to get myself in trouble and say way too much.
Promenade Hotel.
The Optera XLs and Darts were the first to go, then the B9s, then B10s. That seems a bit inefficient, removing B9s first before the B10s. But then again, I suppose in 2012, those probably would have been the very first B9s that Stagecoach had in their fleet. Actually, now that I've mentioned that, I actually don't even think they have any in their fleet. Oh, no one even wants off. Why am I even stopping here?
The next stop.
Sometimes it just does that. It just hangs. Doesn't want to change gears. Trusty old ZF. And then the Dennis Arrows, when Stagecoach finally withdrew the B7R release in 2017 and 2018. It's really surprising that they kept on to the B7R release so long, to be honest. For 5-6 years. Alright, love, there you go. There's your return. Hopefully you don't return on my bus. But yeah, no. Because they were so non-standard, but I guess by that point they had such a large fleet of them that it didn't really matter. And what probably it was, I feel like they just wanted to get rid of like the valuable stuff first. Because the B9s at that time must have been maybe a couple of years old, if that. Actually, I say that, they could be 2008 B9s. But they would have been relatively new, especially compared to like the Dennis Arrows and the XLs. So that's probably the reason why they got rid of them first, just to maximize the value from that operation that they bought. Ugh, why can you just not use contactless? I'd assume 33164. I think you're correct. As I said, I can't actually remember off the top of my head what First used for their Trident Presidents. So it probably was 164, yeah. Stagecoach Chester had 27 B9s and open tops. Oh, that's actually true as well. Yeah, you are right.
Sycamore Avenue.
I'm pretty certain those are First X-First as well, those ones. Actually, those might even be X-First Londons. Because I did remember seeing those. It's weird seeing people buy tickets at the front. I mean, yeah, to be fair, you are from Germany, so it is pretty strange for you, but here in the UK, that's just how we do it, sadly.
Good day, driver.
What?
Everyone comes up to the driver because we can't be trusted to buy tickets at the rear. London tried doing that. We tried having an open boarding policy with our bendies first, and then the new route masters, you know, having free doors. You can tap in at any door, but, you know, people just aren't honest. It's not like Germany where everyone has like a duty to abide by the
The
rules.
next stop is Sycamore School.
Fare evasion was absolutely rife on both Bendies and the new route masters, which kind of confuses me. I don't know why they didn't learn their lesson from the Bendies, why the new route masters also had 3 doors. I mean, I suppose they originally were going to come with conductors as well, but like they must have realised how expensive that would be, because it was very quickly scrapped, the idea of having conductors on the new route masters, which just meant free game for anyone who wanted to fare invade, which is what happens. And then TfL decided to make it so that you have to only tap in at the front, and the back 2 doors are both for exiting,
Sycamore Park and Drive.
which just completely, you know, removes the usefulness of the new route masters. Driving into the parking right now. Sycamore. I think that's the PR2's one. This is the PR1 stop. There we go, everyone off. And then we do a return journey back over to Hillswick. Turn off the indicator because that's going to drive me nuts. Because where I live, we have ticket machines in the buses near the second door. You usually have to board at the front of the bus, except wheelchair stroller, and you can't leave the bus at the front. Yeah. I mean, see, we have that as well, but that's only in London, where like they're really finicky about leaving through the front door. I mean, you can, but like drivers would just be like, why aren't you using the middle doors? But in the rest of the country, it's very accustomed to actually leave through the front door, because obviously there's no other place for them to leave unless they decide to, you know, go through here. Is this not open? Wow, I paid £30.50 and the emergency exit doesn't even open. Actual scam artists. No, I'm just kidding. But that is interesting. I actually thought that it, especially on a payware product, that the emergency door would open. Let me change my blinds, going back to Hillswick, get everyone on board. Yeah, so...
Hey, driver?
Like, even in towns that have dual doors, it's very customary just to exit through the front door as well.
Return, please.
Drivers don't mind it. In fact, some drivers prefer it if you just exit through the front doors instead of having to open the back doors for you.
Chala.
At least, again, that's
Hey,
tends to be
Hanson.
my experiences in Brighton,
Hiya, driver.
which is, I think, has probably the largest
Hello, mate.
dual door fleet outside of London.
Single.
The B9s we had were
Lovely.
MX-07 ones, so it
Cheers.
would have been 5 years old. Yeah, that's probably the reason why they got rid of them, because high resale value at that time, being only 5 years old, probably also Euro 5. Yeah, which I don't understand, because that's a very like short-term mindset. I feel like Stagecoach should have looked into the future and realised, oh yeah, it would be actually useful if we actually kept these, because we could use them. They're relatively young, we can use them for many years to come, but instead they were just like, ooh, quick money, easy money. But hey ho, such is the way of life. So I don't even get any stand time. I'm sad. No one's coming. Actually, I don't know why I'm complaining. I arrived about 3 minutes late. So it's understandable as to why I didn't get any stand time. Stagecoach Wigan kept the arrows for a while in schoolwork until being replaced by ex-London Tridents. Oh wow, getting 17, 01 and 03 and 05, 6, 10. That's actually... I mean, to be fair, it is old stock replacing old stock, let's be entirely honest with ourselves, but that is still pretty cool. Just a shame that those had to leave London so soon. I also imagine those were those the very first low floor Tridents? I said, well, it's not low floor, but low height ones. Like the one that London Transport Museum used to have in its collection before it was sold off to Bromley Bus Preservation Group. Opinions on the ALX 200s. To be entirely honest, very ugly, but it's alright, I guess. It's a bit strange how like they kind of just died really quickly in the country. They existed for like maybe 7 years, and then after that they just became extremely rare, which is really strange, but understandable because the Dennis Dart was just a much better product. Well, sorry, I should say Plaxton Pointer before Dennis bought up Plaxton. Rest in peace, Plaxton. Get all these people on board. But Stagecoach transferred the 2007 B9s to Stagecoach Fife to replace Olympians, I believe. Oh, did they?
The next
Aha, that makes sense. To be fair, that is... Well, okay, I was going to say upgrade. It's an upgrade in terms of, like, to go from Olympian straight to B9, that's, like, a huge leap from, like, probably 20-plus-year-olds vehicles to, like, 5-year-old vehicles. But also, Olympians are really nice, and B9s, they're alright. No one wants on? Okay. And my driving's that bad. The thing is we don't have to tap our tickets, because our tickets you pay once. So once a year if you have a ticket, a year ticket, once a month if it's a month ticket. See, we have that as well, except like we still have to tap our like smart cards that those are loaded into, just to validate the fact that we do have like a yearly or monthly tickets. Because as I said, like, if you try to do anything with like honesty in the UK, people will abuse it. As a matter of fact, Brighton and Hove recently had to introduce like a student ticket verification system because so many people were just buying the student tickets, because before you could just buy it. It was like on an honesty system. And that's what I mean. It's like honesty systems in the UK just don't really work because no one can be honest. Which is a shame.
Hello there.
Great, kid.
Hiya.
But yeah. So that's why we have to come in at the front. I mean, it is a bit annoying because they do also have readers at the rear doors as well.
Cheers.
On dual door buses, but that's just for like contactless tap and just contactless tap and go.
Excuse me, do you...
There you go.
Single. Hiya.
There's your single. Yeah, opinions on what do I think about the E300s? Well, let me tell you a story about E300s. Actually, no, I don't have any stories about them. They're okay-ish. Again, having like been born in London, grown up in London, London had no E300s, really. So I think that, but like experiencing after that outside the country, I think they're okay. I particularly like the Scania ones. I don't really like the ADL ones, at least ones that are like on, well, coupled to a VoIF, because I'm going to be entirely honest, Euro 5 VoIF stuff is just the most dull, drab thing in the universe. I genuinely rather watch paint dry than listen to a Euro 5 VoIF. I mean, unless it confuses itself, then it's like slightly entertaining. But I think the paint has like a one-up on it, sadly. But
Single, please.
Stagecoach Wigan also had some Olympians, but they were quickly withdrawn. See, I would have loved to actually have caught those Olympians before they were withdrawn. It is also kind of insane to think that relatively recently, maybe in the past, I'd say 8 years. Okay, that's not that recent. Maybe 5, I'd say. There were still Olympians like roaming around the streets. But like within the past 8 years, it's just been a case of replacing the early like low floor generation stuff, the ALXs, the Presidents, and now starting to replace some of the second generation stuff like E400s. And it was the S-Reg BWC Tridents. Yeah, that makes sense. With the first, yeah. Because obviously I'm pretty certain the one that the London Transport Museum had was 17001, so that's why I was like, I made that connection. But Stagecoach were a bit weird with their numbering system. Because some of their first fleets were like not like 001. I'm pretty certain, so that's why I was just like clarifying. And also, obviously, you have like 1800-001 is also a Trident, but that's not
The next stop is
like the first of any specific fleet. But the B9s we used to have leather seats for routes from Wigan to Manchester, but the B9s were quickly replaced with E400s from the main Manchester fleet. Yeah, such is the way with operations. I imagine, honestly, like B9s are probably absolute fuel guzzlers. That's the reason why most ops chose to replace them quite early, especially like Stagecoach, who had probably really comparatively fuel efficient vehicles. Because obviously, if you think about it, the E400 had a much smaller engine than the B9. Even though the B9 was restricted to hell and back, you could not, no matter what you do, those early B9s, you couldn't get them to rev anything above 1800s RPM. Whereas the E400s happily has kicked down, happily will rev up to 2300 RPM, no problem. And then operators realised, oh yeah, maybe it wouldn't be, it's not such a good idea to have such an underpowered vehicle.
Lovely. Cheers.
And now you start seeing some B9s with Topodine, which are pretty decent, I feel. Would you prefer E200 or MMC? I prefer the MMC, to be honest. I just find the E200 a really naff product, and the MMC is like an actual good improvement, because every single generation of E200s... I don't care about the group calls. There we go. Shut him up. I feel like the MMC the early generations and every single generation E200 is just very flimsy. It's just cheap plastic, rattles like hell. I just don't like it, whereas like, obviously the MMC is probably built with the same materials, but it just feels so much more structurally sound. Like I don't fear the bus like falling apart to pieces if it gets taken on on a fast dual carriageway.
Hello.
Also, hi Michael from Nottingham. So I definitely prefer MMCs. I mean, don't get me wrong, Euro 4, like between 2006 and 2009, E200s are okay. It's just they're extremely rattly, and just build quality is not there on them. They were built as cheaply as possible. And then the Euro 5 ones, they're just so dull. So that would be my synopsis on that, to be honest. And as much as like London is infested with VoIP garbage, because since 2016, 2017, TfL mandated stop-start, which Alison didn't bother to get around to until it was too late, until TfL started mandating EVs only. So everything from that generation, all the MMCs, apart from a very few select batches, which are also starting to leave now, which is crazy, are VoIP. But even those I find actually pretty okay. As much as I don't like them being everywhere, I'm just like, yeah, they're not that bad. It could be worse, I suppose. I'm doing good. How about you? Have I heard of an ambulance being struck by a London bus? Yes, I have. And said ambulance ended up flipping on its roof. It was struck by a 135? I'd want to say it was Evocity or a G3. Memory's doing tricks on me. But no, I actually did hear about that. That's a crazy story. I genuinely wonder what the hell happened there. Who ran what red light? Who wasn't looking? I mean, I'm going to be entirely honest. I think it's more likely it was probably the bus driver. But then again, an ambulance on blues. I mean, I'm just thankful that the paramedics inside were actually pretty. They weren't harmed. They were just a bit shaken up. That was the only real saving grace of that. Was a 13? Oh yes, it was a 13. Yeah, I remember it being 133 something, but in my head I was like, 133 doesn't sound right. That run, that is an Arriva route, and I knew it was a Tower Transit one, or ex-Tower Transit, I should say. It was Stagecoach branded.
Single, please.
But yeah, I mean, it also follows on from the, I don't know why it's giving out 1p change. It follows on from that, what was it? Fire truck being struck by a 35 Eversetti. It's kind of weird how many like emergency services vehicles have been struck by buses in London. Like for every single time that emergency service vehicle has been struck by a bus in London, I'd have 2 nickels.
Leisure Centre Crossing.
If I got a nickel for every... Okay, I said that wrong, but you understand the premise. If I had a nickel for every single time that happened, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's strange it's happened twice.
Jesus, Gavin, what the hell's going on
what
while
you-
you're driving?
What are they complaining about? Okay, I'm gonna get out the seat, you can drive the bloody bus then. OMSI passengers just complain, you take the corner like 1 mile per hour too fast.
Please.
Sorry, I'm having a mental breakdown here right now, hang on a minute. Take a corner 1 mile per hour too fast and then they just start whinging. Child single. Then the 2008-2009 E400s
Hello,
when
mate.
they replaced with the SN65
Just a single,
E400
please, mate.
MMCs with coach style seating for the
Lovely.
34X
Cheers.
34, but they often went off route onto other Wigan routes such as the 540 to Bolton. To be fair, that is one thing that I feel like regional operators just do so well. It's like the coach style seats are really comfy, like makes it feel like you're sitting in like your granddad's armchair whilst on the bus. My favourite would definitely have to be the MMCs on the Which Way that are just specced up like absolute pure luxury inside. I've never been on them. Obviously, I have friends who have, and I've seen pictures of the inside. I'm really, really envious. Like, it's genuinely one of those routes I want to go on just to experience those, the spec inside, because it is so high class. But I do imagine those 2008, 2009 E400s probably weren't the highest spec stuff, because it's actually funny thinking about it. I don't think there were ever any...
Hello. One and two.
Oh, definitely weren't many E400s that were spec'd with like high back leather seats. The only real exceptions I could think of are probably like some gold branded stuff and some not X, but like X-Busway Scania E400s that Stagecoach had. Because those have like really nice comfortable leather seats. But I mean, obviously you do have some
Parish Junction.
batches that were like that, but I definitely feel like there's a lot more newer stuff that is really high spec now. Which honestly is the nice change from having to sit on Civics and urban 90s for like a 2-hour journey. Which, trust me, I had to do once on an E200 from Brighton, going up all the way up to East Grinstead. God almighty, my back is still not forgiven me for that journey. The best part is I never actually managed to get to East Grinstead because being a typical E200s, send it at speeds above 40 miles per hour, it will absolutely die. And this one died. It decided to piss itself whilst we were in Haywards Heath.
The next stop
It
is
sprang a leak.
Waysworth Lakeside.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Hillwood call. Anybody interested in some
No, I am not. Be quiet. Damn, that is just way too loud. Those group call stuff, which also plays way too often because I don't feel like a garage is going to bother their drivers as much as this unless you're driving like central London and it's the an MCC, or just I'm just going to use the old name for it, Centrecom, because that's just so much more catchier than NMCC. What does that even mean? It abbreviates like the Network Control Management Center. Who cares? Centrecom was short, catchy, to the point. What's going to happen next? London bus falls onto a track and hits a tube train. To be fair, well, it's not that it almost happened. Something like that did happen, except it was with an actual car, I think a Land Rover. where they were going way too fast and ended up flying off some like bridge that goes over the tube it was on the Piccadilly line station, like Hounslow East maybe, on that branch of the Piccadilly line, and like it just ended up on the tracks. So whilst it's not a bus, I mean, you know, we're only a couple of accidents away from that actually being a bus. Hey, and who knows, TfL might actually start that as a new service, as a proper tube replacement set. Why did I open the door here? Don't get off. Don't want you to get squished. I don't want to have to be scraping you off the tarmac. Yeah, no, TfL will just run that as like a tube replacement service. But the 34X34 Brandon went only after a few months, but in recent years, the E300s, E200s, ALX 300s, and ALX 300s are really, really tasty. I haven't been on those. I especially want to go on the MAN ones. I mean, I just have a soft spot for anything MAN engines, because that was also a large part of my childhood, having MAN 14.240, yeah, 240s, coupled to a ZF 6-speed EcoMat, which just, lovely. It's just a shame that they ended up being withdrawn from London early, because Go-Ahead wanted to standardise their fleet. This grandma isn't even walking on the crossing. But yeah. And the B7REs were withdrawn. That's also another thing I really don't like about modern day. Well, Stagecoach specifically does this. I feel like other operators... I mean, other operators are starting to do this, like Brighton and Hove are doing this as well. It's like removing route branding from their routes. I understand why they do it, because obviously they want to just route branding costs extra money. If the bus gets damaged, you have to get a panel spray in the route brand instead of having like a massive stock of standardized parts in a specific color. I get it, but like Stagecoach are absolutely abhorrent with this. Because their new Coaster 700 branding is disgusting. They, because they want to keep it as, in their corporate intercity regional branding with the piss yellow coloured livery, it just looks horrible, and it looks like a toddler has designed. Oh, onto weekly tickets. Hang on a minute. Oh, hold on. There you go.
Can I have a return, please?
A return for you? Yeah, no, it just looks like a toddler's designed it, because it's just... all they have is the regional intercity branding, which is just default Stagecoach, the yellow with like their golden logo, and then just Route 700, the destinations in really tiny font just above the doors. It's like the most non-effort thing I've ever seen. It's awful. And compare that to their actual Coaster 700 branding, where it's like you see Coaster, then 700, there's like a wave design, and then you have like the frequency on the side of the bus, the connections, you know, it's just... it's just such a shame. And I mean, obviously Brighton and Hove are doing this as well. They lost the Metro 25 branding when the Bendies went. They're also starting to debrand some of the 7 street decks and some of the 49 street decks. I understand they need like a common pool of like vehicles that they can use as spares, but like, come on. Also, I left there a bit early. 2 minutes early. Guess I'll sit here for a bit. Yeah, they would just crash a tube into a bus to have an excuse to run a tube replacement. Well, yeah, except in their case, they'll make the tube replacement a permanent replacement. They'll just be like, you know what? Slap off those tyres. Put the rims on the tracks, there you go, voila, you have the tube. And that's how a Pacer was born. What would happen if the London bus falls into the River Thames? Well, that's an interesting question. I think there would be a few deaths in that situation. Not to put a damper on the mood, but yeah. I mean, to be fair, thankfully that has never actually happened. Because, actually, I don't even think there's been, at least in recent memory, there hasn't been any vehicles that have fallen into the Thames whilst crossing like a bridge or something. That just doesn't really happen because the supports, especially now after like the London Bridge terrorist attack, where they've actually put like protection between the cars and the pedestrians, it's just very hard to actually.
The next stop is Ravensworth Carriageway.
Fall off the bridge. They'll convert tube trains into buses. Reverse pacer. No, stop it! Don't give them ideas. Actually, to be fair, that would work because they are technically already electric. You know what? Maybe they should do that and also put up some wires overheads. Oh wait, hang on a minute. I think I've just invented the trolley bus again.
Hello, mate.
Stagecoach Manchester also had 2 Allison E300s, both of which are now withdrawn as it snapped its rear axle, and the other one was withdrawn even though it's in Stagecoach's 2020 livery. That sounds... Honestly, I'm not even surprised. Actually, I'm more surprised that it's Stagecoach that did that, because that sounds more like an Arriva thing to do. Waste money repainting the vehicle only to have it be withdrawn literally like a month later. Because Arriva are so bad with that. There are a ton of like DWs and ALX 400s that they repainted. Oh! Whoops. I'm not turning that, I'm turning to the right here. Whoopsie. Yeah, no, it's just trolley tube. Good one. Yeah, Arriva are absolutely horrible because there are a lot of vehicles that they just repainted, only to have them be withdrawn a couple of months later. Oh, great, I have to listen to the sounds of sirens now. Are you gonna let me turn here? My indicator on? No, you're not, so you're just gonna crash into me. Okay, understandable. If that did happen, what would happen? Well, I mean, honestly, at that point, you'd have to get you would have to get something to like drag the bus out. Oh, dear Lord, can you turn your sirens off, please? Yeah, no, you'd have to get something to drag the bus out of the river from the bottom of the seabed. Now, I don't know if that would be... Maybe you hook up like a boat to it, drag it closer to shore, then have it be pulled out by some land vehicle. Maybe have it be airlifted out. I'm not sure, but that's probably what would happen. You'd have a lot of deaths. I mean, this did happen, not in London, but it did happen in Turkey. No, China. And what happened there was actually just the bus driver just was having an argument with a passenger, then just thought like the bridge would obviously be closed, yeah. The driver was just like, oh, you know what, I'll one-up you in this argument, and then just did like this with the steering wheel straight into a river. Stagecoach has a tendency of selling buses after repainting them. It's a waste of money and paint. Yeah, that's true as well, but the thing is like, I would have thought they would have had a plan on when they would want to replace a vehicle. I mean, I'd understand if a vehicle was withdrawn because, let's say, its axle snapped, or its engine died, its gearbox exploded. Sure, that's like unexpected and you can't plan for that, but like, vehicles where they're like, okay, you know what, this vehicle, its tax runs out, its road tax runs out in like 2 months' time, we're probably going to not renew it and withdraw it then. And then they decide, you know what, let's repaint it in the corporate 2020 livery, which, by the way, is an absolutely abhorrent livery. I still hate it every single time I look at it. I mean, I like the new Stagecoach logo, it's okay, it's not too bad, but that livery I just can't forgive them for. I just don't like this trend of having buses just be plain white, and then have their logo. I mean, like, sure, I guess I like the fact that their logo wraps around the entire bus and, like, makes the rear be colourful, but, like, for the rest of the livery to just be white, it just looks horrible. Oh, the same learner again.
The next stop is Hills Corner.
Or they would just use trams on the subsurface lines. Yeah, no, you're giving them way too many ideas. Sod it, extend the Croydon tram link through like the London Overgrounds, and then connect it back up to the Metropolitan line. So have the East London tram link. Diversions, not gonna lie. Yeah, that's true. But then what would happen if it was on Tower Bridge that was closed? and the Blackwall Tunnel is also closed. Where would the 108 divert to then? See, I'm asking all the important questions now. It's kind of funny because the Blackwall Tunnel is always closed during nights on Sundays, I believe, for like maintenance of the tunnel and whatnot. But what that ends up happening is that because of 108 is a 24-hour service in London, it has to take a massive diversion because there are no bridges. There's no other ways to cross other than the Woolwich Ferry in that side of London. And let's be honest, TfL are going to be putting a bus onto a ferry to cross a river. Like, they're stupid, but they're not that stupid. So the diversionary route is go into London and then go via Tower Bridge. It's 100% a diversion I actually do want to go do one day because it just sounds fun. I mean, that, and also, like, they tend to just, if the Blackwall Tunnel ever packs up, they just give up with service. They're like, you know what, terminate it at Canning Town, terminate it at North Greenwich, we're just not going to serve, there's not going to be any cross-river services.
Hello there.
2765 was off the road for a while with a mechanical issue, so it's understandable. Oh, that makes sense then. It was probably a mechanical issue and they couldn't get the parts for it. Because it's actually strange. It's strange to see now, like, E400s being used as, like, parts donors, because, like, in my head, E400s are still relatively new. But no, they're now actually on the same timeline as the ALX 400s. Also boot this nice little B9. Abellio 2441 is still off the road after nearly 3 years. What is that? Is that an MMC? I want to talk to ADL about that one, to be honest. Last used in July 2020. I mean, it might be possible that it's just not tracking properly. Because that seems a bit strange. That it was last used. Oh, it's an SN12. It's an E400s. Oh, you know what? That's I'm pretty certain that one's been sold. That's the reason why it hasn't been tracked. Oh, look at this. We have a not in service express branded bus. Where on earth is this going to then? Because right now it is... Also, that's a 61 reg. Intriguing. Because right now it's 12. And the express services don't start until 3, so... Actually, not even 3, 5. It's peak hours only, those.
Christ, man, take it easy. By God, we'll never get there at this rate.
And convert the Wimbledon branch of the district line into a tram line. Yeah, and also the Sutton Loop on Thameslink, turn that into a tram line. Actually, to be fair, I say that, but that was actually a serious suggestion once. Because it's so strange, because I have been on that branch line. The branch line is completely dead off peak, but during the peaks it's ram solid. That's the only time it's busy, that's the only reason why it exists. It's because in peak times, people, especially from Wimbledon, I mean less so from Sutton, but like people just want to go from Wimbledon into the city, and it's like the quickest way to get there in the peaks. It's via that branch line. Do you know where 2441 has been likely sold to? That is a good question. I've also gone in the wrong way. Oh, well, that doesn't matter. I'm gonna drive down to they're seriously not going to leave. I'm going to drive down to the Westfield police station and then do an 83A. I'm sure there's enough room for me to do a 3-point turn here in the bus. Excuse me, bus coming through. Alright, didn't select gear. They'll divert over Putney Bridge. Nah, at that point they might as well just divert over like near like Richmond area, like Kingston area. Sod it, divert via the Dartford Bridge. The Queen Elizabeth II bridge. allow it to have like a round tour on the M25 around London. To be fair, the X26 is the only route that actually goes onto the M25 when the cycle marathon takes place in Kingston. That hasn't taken place for the last 2 years, because of COVID. But when it does take place, although I think it might have taken place last year, but when it does take place this year, which is during summertime, the X26 diverts via the M25. Doesn't serve anything. It basically goes express after Carshalton to Heathrow Airport, well, Hatton Cross. And then it terminates at Heathrow Terminal 5 instead of the central bus station. And then 27624 spent half of 2021, 2022 off the road awaiting a new engine. Yep, standard ADL products. What can I say? Just build a few new switches at Beckenham Junction, Elmer's End, so that trams can run into Charing Cross, Cannon Street, Victoria, Thameslink Core, and all the way up to Bedfords. Yeah, you know what? Why do we even need like heavy national rail? Just turn everything into like Tramlink or the DLR. Actually, to be fair, that would actually be really, really fun if everything was converted into like the DLR. Pretend you're driving the train that's doing like 100 miles per hour up the Bedford main line, or the Midland main line even. I think 2441 might have caught fire, but I don't have any info on it. I'm not sure if any Abellio E400 hybrids have caught fire recently. It might have done. But I mean, there is definitely a reason as to why it's been off the roads for so long. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty certain those hybrids have been sold. But I couldn't actually tell you off the top of my head where they've gone, who they've been sold to. Such a shame, so many... Oh, maybe I should concentrate on the road a bit more. That would help. Such a shame. So many good buses have gone, for example, Tridents and ALX 300s. That's true. Very true. I mean, there are still some stragglers, like, hanging on for dear life. Like, there are some 25 or 24-year-old vehicles still on the roads. Yeah, just make the trams and the DLR max be 100 or 125 miles per hour. How about we just send them onto High Speed 1 and the Eurostar? Have Croydon Tramlink be like the Eurolink. The ELR, the Euro Light Rail. Might as well, if we're going to be uprating them to 100 miles per hour and 125. Is 2441 a big baked bean can now? Don't think so. But that has a massive asterisk, because I'm not certain. It's definitely not still with Abellio. But it being an early hybrid, well, I say early-ish hybrids. by early-ish hype, actually no, it's not an early-ish. It's a 64 reg, but it's not an MMC. Basically, is what I'm trying to get at. It's might be being used as like a spares donor, to be honest. ALX 300's been some of the best man buses. That is true, but then also they are still man buses, so they're absolutely horrendously unreliable. I mean, I say that, but that's just experiences from like go-aheads when they had the man fleet from Metrobus. They just couldn't maintain them at all, so they were horrendously unreliable. And some of them be actually just catching fire going up hills. An absolute embarrassment for Go-Ahead, to be honest. But then again, they're doing the exact same thing with the Citara C2s. Just anything that isn't ADL, they've run into the ground, or Volvo either, actually, to be honest. They did the same with the Scanias. Although, I think maybe my judgment is a bit biased, because I am mostly thinking about MB, Metrobus, their Orpington garage. And also HS2 in 2150 or so. I think you're being very generous to the government there. Honestly, maybe in the 3000s, in the new millennia, we'll see HS2. Alright, let's speedrun the 63A. 63A? The 83A. To, Wavesworth. Hang on a minute, I will stand... Is it stand D? Hang on a minute. I will find it. 83A, it is to stand F. Stand F. There we go, get everyone on. This is just an extra bus.
Good day,
Not
driver.
gonna adhere to the timetable, I just want to see how quickly it gets to Wavesworth.
Lovely. Cheers.
Was it sold to a UK company or exported maybe? Because the Belly CBA to repair the bus. I don't think it's exported. Because ADL products don't tend to be exported, to be honest. It's mostly like Citaros, MANs, anything that isn't like standard UK bus that gets exported. Really? The MAN E300s are probably the worst, as many have caught on fire and have been converted to Euro 6 and now are so sluggish I barely go on them. To be honest, that might be also because some of them have been converted into basically ADL E300 instead of MAN ones, because a large amount of the MAN ones that Stagecoach had, they actually re-engined them to have come-ins instead of MAN 14.240s, I think those were. So that might be why they're like sluggish, and also they might have just had like you know, their ECU remapped. Oh wait, if we could send trams through the Thames and Core, then we could also send them to Inverness or Wick, also High Speed Free, the Northern Powerhouse. I'm sorry to break it to you, but that is not happening. Whoever told you about the Northern Powerhouse has been lying to you. That is not something that's going to be happening. Definitely not within our lifetimes. Definitely not within the next 100 years. Because they're too busy snorting white powder off the Westminster toilets. But yeah, honestly, you know what? Replace the Caledonian Sleeper with trams. Convert the entire network. Send trams under the Atlantic Sea off to America. Okay, good, because who cares about the north? I'm going to choose my next words very carefully here. I mean, to be fair, I have been up to the north a couple of times. It's not that bad. You know, it's about what the atmosphere in game is right now. It's grey and a bit miserable. But, as I said, that's the north. I wasn't expecting anything less. There you go. Alright, I'm gonna shut up for a bit just so that I can hear the B9TL roar. Get it maxed out. But Manchester also had a few Stagecoach Western Man E300s kept were original engines, but my two favourite Man E300s would have been those ones which had loud voice. I'm going to be entirely honest, I am not a fan of voice mans. I know, like, you can castrate me, you can hang me for that opinion, but, like, I really, really like ZF ones. Because, like, even though the ones we had down here in London were 09 reg ones, they had such loud ZFs, like, definitely some of the loudest, especially on single deckers. And it just made them sound so good. Whereas VoIP, you just don't really have that, to be honest. You mostly hear the power of the engine, which is alright, but the sound of, like, the ZF going through every single gear, and they had such a nice tuneful 6th gear. The only good thing about the North is they have trams. I mean, that is true, and they also have the tram train things up in Sheffield. And then if you go further north, up until Scotland, which is, like, just the most northerly point of England, let's be entirely honest. Okay, no, I'll take that back. I have Scottish friends. I will actually get killed for saying that. But no, if you go up to Edinburgh, they also have trams up there. Nottingham, which is more in the Midlands than the North. Actually, yeah, I suppose it's sort of the Midlands. Trams there. Or you can come down south. Oh, I almost forgot about Blackpool. They also have trams. They also have vintage trams, so that makes them... That's actually one reason to visit Blackpool. But yeah. But I mean, you don't have to go all the way up north for trams because, you know, Croydon has trams. I mean, then again, it is Croydon. You can never actually justify visiting Croydon. It's never worth it. Having a screech and fan belt. They don't have that many. Actually, to be fair, the North does have quite a lot of trams. loud voice. Is Croydon scary or what? I mean, let's just say Croydon has a reputation, and it has that reputation for a reason. Just imagine a bleak, dystopian suburb of London, and then you have Croydon. Is 2441 likely to return to service or not? Honestly, I am not certain. I'd say probably not, since it's been off the road for so many years. But then again, stranger things have happened. There have been plenty of buses that have just been off the road for like... Actually, I don't know if they've ever been off the road this long. There have been plenty that have been off the road for like months, maybe even a year, and they've returned back to service. But 3 years, yeah, I think it's probably been withdrawn for good, to be honest. I mean, if we send trams through the Channel Tunnel, we can also just let them run to Singapore. Yeah, just create a massive circle line around the world. Connect Singapore up to Japan, then Japan up to North America, then, up to the Atlantic link that we created from London to America. Bam, we have just a massive circle line for the world. I read what goes on there. Yeah, let's just say what you read online is like the least of what actually happens there. Because I have had the misfortune of actually used to live there. And yeah, let's just say what you read really is like scraping the surface of what actually happens there. Oh, and there goes a tram just as we're speaking about them. And also arriving into Wavesworth, which will be where I end the stream. So whilst I turn around here, get myself up onto stands for the 63A, which isn't even the route that I was doing originally, but that doesn't matter. Let all the passengers off. They're probably traumatized from my driving, but as well connect Antarctica to the tram network then. Yeah, that's true. Might as well go full hog. But with that being said, I will leave this part here. As always, thank everyone for getting this far, watching this far. If you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. I stream OMSI at least once or twice a week, along with City Bus Manager, Transport Fever 2, City Skylines, and probably a whole host of other games in the future. I might start expanding it to NIMBY Rails, might do like the bus simulator, I think it's called, or just the bus. Strange name and terminology. But anyway, I thank you for making it this far, watching it this far. If you've gotten this far, please show your support by leaving the video a like, and I'll see you in the